This is peace, power, and purpose 360.
Good evening. Good evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Peace, Power, and Purpose 360 degrees. Hi, I'm David Alexander, and we're in for another enlightening evening of discussion to help you move to that better future for yourself, the better future for your family, the better future for your community. And yes, by now you have been thinking about what does a better future look like for you? What does a better future look like for your family? And of course, what better future looks like for your community? You know, sometimes for you, a better future may look like a career promotion, a change in career. A better future might be a better relationship, a new relationship, or improving the relationships that you already have, building on what you already have established. Or sometimes it's optimum health. You know, our health has a lot to do with our behaviors. When you live well, you behave well. At least you have the opportunity to behave well. You can make better choices. Or you might be in a business mind where you really want to launch that business that's been burning a burning desire for so long. But you know what? You're a little gun shy. But you know what? You've been listening to this podcast and you really want to change. You really want to pursue that better future for you, that better future for your family, for your wife, for your children, or maybe for your grandchildren. It's still a burning desire to get it done. And let me tell you, my friend, it is not too late, because you know what? You're tuned into the right place, the right space at the right time. Peace, power, and purpose 360 degrees is all about a full circle transformation. That's for your mind, that's for your body, that's for your spirit, that's for a complete lifestyle change. You know, we're living in a world that's very chaotic. There's a lot of chaotic things going on, but you can still have that abundant, that spirit-filled life that you can say, well done, I think I did well, you know. But again, you got to start somewhere, no matter what age you are, no matter how long you've been trying. Today is a new day. What better place than now to start? So looking forward to that future, what is holding you back? You know, you got to ask yourself. Well, I can tell you sometime it's the fact that you've been traumatized because you tried so many times and you failed. Or there might have been some kind of events you've gone through in life that made you think that your chances of pursuing this future, this goal, this new you, this new future for yourself, your community, your family, that it's just a waste of time. It's a false hope. So it kind of made you a little gun shy, but it keeps popping up in your head, you know. But whatever that traumatic event might have been, it could have been a divorce, it could have been a failed marriage, it could have been a loss of a loved one. It's traumatizing no matter what it is. But you know what? There is a thing called post-trauma growth. That means you grow beyond or in spite of what you've been through. And really, when you recover from trauma, you discover you have 4 options that face you during your recovery process. Number 1, you can succumb to the adversities that you faced. I mean, you just give up, throw in the towel, won't even try to fight back. You can fight back to survive, but the quality of life is diminishing. Or you can become resilient and say, I'm going to take every lesson as a lesson learned, and I'm going to use that lesson learned as a way to move forward with my life. And you can actually thrive when you use resilience in the right way. You can thrive and move forward with your life. The whole thing about thriving is promoting your growth beyond just surviving or just beyond growth. You know, it's all about shifting the way you think, shifting from feelings to thinking, and then behaving in a way that changes the way you relate to yourself, because your self-image is going to be the first thing you got to overcome. How you see yourself, then how you think the world sees you, or how you relate to the world and your place and space in this world. But it's all about changing your whole outlook on life. And when you change the way you think, you can change the way you live your life. You can have a greater appreciation for life, you know, treasuring those moments that bring you peace, you know, those long walks in the evenings, those times you sit down with your family members or your significant other, just enjoying the space and time you're in that brings on that calmness that allows you to reflect and say, hey, wait a minute, I think I can get this done, because you allowed yourself to calmly think about the future. Also just strengthening your spiritual belief. Everything begins and ends with an attitude. And a good attitude goes a long ways. But your spiritual belief is part of your attitude. Your attitude about yourself, your attitude about life, your attitude about community. And when you can receive the social support from a community of faith believers, you'd be surprised what 2 or 3 can do against the midst of a crowd. A lot of movements that became worldwide movements start with a few people getting together with the same mind and the same common goals. That's how communities were formulated. I'm not talking about digital communities because they use the same platform, but a digital community can give you a false sense of hope because a lot of people are saying the same thing. They're going to harness that energy, but what that energy is used for, if you don't watch it, you have no control over how that energy or what that energy will accomplish. And it may accomplish things that was never on your bucket list, and it were never things you would support on your own. And that's why even beyond digital communities, in our natural communities, we got to make sure that when we come together for a common cause, that everybody is true and authentic in their commitment to making it happen. It all goes back from where will we grow from versus where will we grow into. You grow into traps in life that have you thinking that you don't have a chance, you don't stand a chance, have you thinking that it's hopeless for you, it's hopeless for your family. I hear a lot of kids now saying they live crazy and carelessly because they know they're going to die. I've heard 19-year-olds say that. Then I'm going to have all the fun I can because I know I'm not going to live long anyway. But do you know what? Having fun, it was far from what they were doing was fun. What they were doing is either behaving according to the truth that they've been sold about themselves. And most of the time that truth came out of some kind of traumatic event. So post-traumatic growth can be both positive and it can be negative. But what we want to do is we want in relationships to be enhanced. That means you're getting around the right people for the right reason, and you're drawing from them things that's going to help you live and grow into a better you. And certain increasing your personal strength. When you have more peace inwardly, that peace shows outwardly. When you show the power that comes from having peace, that means you got boundaries. Boundaries give you power and control over yourself. Now you can channel your energies into areas and domains that you wanted to go because it's responding to your voice, your self-talk. But when someone else gets to dictate, who you are and how you feel about yourself, they got control over your own narrative and they can control your destiny with your own self-talk. So that's why we want you to increase your personal strength. We want you to discover all of the new options that are available to you because you have changed the way you think and you're changing the way you live your life. So when you increase those strong strengths within yourself, you also increase your own creativity. Now you can sit back in a calm environment and think about your future. Think about that goal. Think about that career move that you want to make. I look back, I could have accepted the fact that my career was over when I made captain, because even being a captain, I was in a lot of controversial situations that everybody wasn't going to be happy. But one of the things I had to come to resolve is that I can't please everyone. I got to be pleased with myself. So I had to be confident that I was doing the best I could, and I was doing good at it. I've learned a lot of lessons, and I learned lessons that will last me a lifetime. And when I came to resolve that, man, it's good to know that you can see the fruits of your labor and that it was good, that I don't have to please everybody else because everybody else is not going to be pleased. So now, when I came to that resolve, I could take that template from being a captain and the Belmont and Village, the Villas experience. The Belmont and Villas will never be like it was a long time ago when it was considered to be worthless real estate. It was valuable then, even though a lot of people didn't see it as valuable. But it is national and international landmarks right now. People all over the world know about Belmont and the Villas and the richness of its history. It was just that valuable back in 1998. It was just that valuable in 1966. So you got to realize it never changed its value. The question became, when was somebody going to see it for the value that it brought to the table? When was anybody going to see the history? And sometimes with our own personal lives, man, we were born with gifts and talents that's going to move us far in life. But it's about, who are we listening to? Who are we letting guide the narrative in our lives? So sometimes when you're looking at the goals that you have set before you since you've been listening to this podcast, you got to ask the question, what's holding me back? Why am I not moving forward? Am I seeing all the things that's there? You know, most of the time we're listening to somebody else that's telling us what we ought to think, what we ought to do. If I were you, but you're not me. And then, am I listening to somebody that's got a credible background? Do they even know what they're talking about? Man, I had to learn that everybody is not in a position to give me advice. And I had to be willing sometimes, the advice I got, it resonated in my spirit, but I had to do some research. That's what I'm telling you, man. You gotta add it up to some truth that come from somewhere, that these truths are not going to change. Because the road to destruction is paved with good intentions. But you got to be careful as to who you listening to, because there are some deceivers out there. They'll get in your ear. There's some gaslighters out there that'll get in your ear. There's some guilt riders out there that'll have you guilt-ridden. There's control freaks out there that once they get their control over you, they'll never let you make a decision on your own. They're going to always want to invoke their opinion about your future. Get that. And there's some people that they are put down artists. Man, you could be doing the best thing and everybody's giving you accolades. They still going to find something wrong. They still going to put you down. But these are the folks that we call toxic people who can create the turmoil in your life if you listen to them. So now, who's holding you back? Is it your own self-talk? Do you really know what your real potential is? Are you the worst critic? Oh, I can't do that. That's too hard. I don't have enough money. Oh, they'll never give me that. Man, people have done it in interviews for jobs. Oh, they're not going to give me this job. You use your race, you use your gender, you use your socioeconomics. When you've been given the talent, your resume speaks truth as to what you can do, but you go in there and you say the opposite of what your resume says. It's because somebody has got you to buy in on a lie about yourself. You don't understand that there are things that are hidden from you. They're called scotomas. They're sitting there. Other people see it. Other people see your talent. You don't see your own talent. You know why? Because somebody's taking your own narrative and they got control over it. But you got the potential. And you got to realize that everybody has things that are hidden from them. We just don't know where they are. And that's why a lot of times you got to allow yourself to be exposed to people who are going to tell you what you need to know. Expose yourself to assessment tools, examination tools that make you look at things about yourself a little different. It's called a self-examination. If you want to have self-mastery, you got to learn how to do a self-inventory. Who am I? Do I know myself for who I really am? Do I know my own potential? But you got to know that you're smart enough, that you're very capable, and that those scotomas come by the way of your past conditionings, what you've been conditioned to think. We behave and act not according to what the truth of our potential is, but what we have been tricked into believing is the truth about us. So now, who are you listening to? Are you listening to those toxic people? You got to be careful who you listen to. You have people going to tell you what you can't do. But there are folks that believe they can do all things because there's a greater power that'll give them the ability to do it. And we got to realize that we all come into this world with some special gifts that can bring about some good things, not only for us, but for our families and friends around us, for communities. They'll be impacted by what you came in with a gift to do. Now, developing your gift might take you most of your life. That's what the bad things that probably was meant for evil, but now all of a sudden, it's a stepping stone to a greater you. It's a stepping stone to a resilient you. It's a stepping stone to a person that's now cannot be stopped, but it's because they can't lose what they're using because it comes from within. You know, at some point, you got to realize, man, there's a reason why I'm in this world for this season. And it's either for a good reason or for a wicked reason. But either way, you got a purpose in your life. Now, I just believe that everybody got something that they can choose a good route or a bad route. They can choose to be positive in life or they can choose a negative route. You can get dealt a lot of negative deals, a lot of negative traumatic events, but there's always a way to make it work for you instead of work against you. But the bottom line is, who are you listening to? Are you listening to somebody that's going to help you move forward in life? Are you listening to somebody that can help you look at this thing a different way where it brings you to some peace, resolve, where now your past conditions do affect how you see things in life, but man, you can change the way you see it. Is the glass half empty or half full? You can turn situations of oppressions into situations of opportunities. So now who you listen to has a lot to do with what kind of future you're going to materialize while you're here on earth, you know, and understanding that if you look at it right, you know, it can change the direction of your life because it changed the way you use your energy. You know, it takes a lot of energy to sit there and do nothing. Look at it from a community perspective. Edmund Burke said it like this: the only thing necessary for evil to triumph is when good people sit back and do nothing. Even nothingness is an energy. Nothingness is a power to oppress people who will in turn oppress other people. You're very capable. You're very smart. You can move into the better you, the better future that's swimming around in your head, that's bubbling and germinating like a soda being shaken up in your heart. Man, you got to drive. You just got to move forward. So what's holding you back? I tell you what, it's okay to be afraid, but don't be overcome with your fear. You can't stay that way. Learn how to love yourself enough to know that there's still a chance for you. Man, what beautiful poetic life to live than feeling like you was at the end of your life journey and man, you made a change that not only left a landmark, but people are going to remember you for a lifetime because they're not going to remember what you said so much as how they remembered how you made them feel. And man, this is a great opportunity for anyone that can hear this podcast at any age, at any stage of your life. You can make an impact and leave a memorable mark in this world. Me, man, I'm full of hope. I've been through so many things that all of my stories are nothing but stepping stones to a greater good. I still find myself able to make a difference no matter what I do. And that's not an arrogant statement. That's a statement of confidence. I am wealth in how I think. I am abundance in where I think from. And I am the certainty as it is because I believe that I'm not the only one in this world that believe I can do all the things that I set my heart and mind to do. But all I'm saying is there's a community of us that needs to come together and let iron sharpen iron, because there's some folks that are hesitant. There's some folks that have been pushed back so many times that they think that that's their rightful place. No, you got a seat up front, but you got to change the way you think. And that's where peace, power, and purpose 360 degrees will help you get there. So what I want you to do, think about what I said. Write it down. Do an inventory. What's holding you back? Who are you listening to? Sometimes it's time for you to evict the old landlord in your heart and your mind and put it on a new management. You can do that. You're very smart and you're very capable. But what I want you to do in the interim, I want you to like us. I want you to follow us. And I want you to share us with your friends. Because you know what? It only gets better from here. And go back and look at some of the other episodes. Share them with your friends because you know what? I feel the energy and the synergy that's coming back from people. And I am more motivated than ever to continue this journey. I just need you to stay with me because you know what? This thing is going to be so powerful that you won't be able to keep it to yourself. You know, it's going to be so spiritual that people are going to come around you. They're going to have to be impacted by it because you know what? It's catchy. It's overcoming. It's overwhelming. It's all about change. It's all about a better future for you and your family. Stay with us until we come back together again. Remember, like us, follow us, and share us with your friends. Peace out.
This is peace, power, and purpose 360.